In July 2012, fervor coursed through Tyler Madoff's veins as the Striking Earth Experiences visit bunch cleared their path through the shocking territory of Hawaii. Yet little did Tyler and his kindred explorers had any idea which began as an exhilarating trip would quickly winding into a series of logically more regrettable occasions coming full circle in a tragic misfortune that would severely impact their universes. Thank you, Tyler's folks enthusiastically contributed $4,500 in addition to a boarding pass to send them on an elating extended caper in Hawaii, with 12 other rush looking for young people from the country over Strong Earth. The Experience Visit organization coordinates charging visits for secondary school understudies all through the country, with many making the excursion to Hawaii each and every year to enjoy this movement experience. The captivating 21-day Extreme Hawaii undertaking had 11 different understudies previously joined when Tyler joined, and he was truly prepared for an epic experience striking Earth with certainty. Vows to guardians on their site in unmatched experience in authority, freedom and challenge, focusing on well-being and self-awareness. What's more, they gladly guarantee to give unique guardianship to youngsters in their consideration. The outing included adrenaline siphoning exercises, for example, surfing, kayaking, hiking, and trekking on Hawaii's stunning large island. Energetic aides in their mid-20s would supervise the extraordinary excursion to the Kona bank of the huge island, with the organization's subcontracting a neighborhood visit administrator, Hawaii PAC, and all. The Division of Land and Regular Asset conceded Hawaii PAC and OR a license for Strong Earth's utilization. The license specified that the gathering should stay inside the area of Skipper Cook Landmark and can remain around there and the nearby sound for over 2 hours anyway. On July 4, 2012, the Striking Earth in Hawaii PAC and board guides concluded that they planned to accomplish something else and expand the stay, and they wound up driving the youngsters on a prohibited, unapproved journey across the state park to the hazardous Pahawa magma pads. This slippery, untouchable region had barbed hole-filled pumice territory with fierce surf constantly beating and stirring the waterfront waters. The Striking Earth guides leading the outing were Andrew Imprint, Kelsey Tyler, and the Hawaiian PAC and all guides Barry Mimes, Nolan Keeler Reed, and Letitia Mimes, with PAC and OR providing the kayaks for the kayaking portion of the excursion. Albeit Intense Earth professes to direct individual verifications on its representatives for criminal offenses. Group pioneer Andrew Imprint had a lawbreaker record, which incorporated numerous violations. Jim Howe, a veteran sea well-being master in the space, commented that a critical issue with visit organizations is their propensity to recruit unpracticed people new to Hawaii or its exceptional circumstances. These aides miss the mark on information on the sea. What's more, trail conditions on the island, despite the fact that they're liable for driving clients on these visits, they frequently pay them the lowest pay permitted by law and are exposed to a stir and consume approach by the organization's Jim, who's one of the spearheading lifeguards at Waimea Sound, has conveyed security converses with the visit organization's workers to attempt to take care of this issue, and he added to an improvement of the sea well-being site to educate clients regarding the possibly perilous dangers and conditions in the space. Before long, the experience that occurs in this story, Tyler's family sent off a savage fight in court, blaming the local escorts for gross carelessness. They claimed that a line of devastating choices had been made, including wildly driving teens into a prohibited stretch of shoreline, brazenly opposing the schedule that was set up by the organization, and for ignoring high surf alerts, all while uncovering the visit bunch individuals to simply a lot of perilous circumstances. In a steady progression, the gathering had shown up at Kila Kikwa Narrows to get together with the kayak direct somewhat later than anticipated the morning of July 4, 2012. They sent off their kayaks into the Sound, and afterward, they prepared to be shown a specialized abilities course, with the aides telling them the best way to rehearse overturn recuperations. Then it was around a 1-hour trip in their kayaks to Skipper Cook landmark Hawaii Pack and Rhodes Master. Fellow Nolan then drove the gathering on a climb from the coast up to the landmark. This one was not that interesting, however they only sort of got up there. Nolan, who's really from that region, flaunted that he knew pretty much everything there is to know about that region. So the gathering was feeling quite certain, and Nolan was clearly sure too. They showed up at the milestone at 10 a.m. and afterward returned down to the water, not a long way from the landmark. They then, at that point, went through around a couple of hours swimming in the strait. This spot was wonderful. There was fish all over, and this was precisely what they pursued, so they got to see the dynamic marine life, which they had the option to take pictures of. Around 1:30 they generally got together for lunch, and Nolan then, at that point, drove the gathering to certain pools that were brimming with little fish and shrimp, while Andrew remained with Letitia and Kelsey and a couple of different campers. When they get done with eating at 2:30, different aides were beginning to plan for the following piece of the outing, and Andrew advised everyone to take care of business and that they planned to leave the Narrows. So the understudies wound up assembling every one of their possessions, and afterward Nolan moved toward Andrew, referenced that they actually had a great deal of time left before their next action, so they could possibly accomplish something different than what they initially arranged, which was simply more swimming. Nolan truly needed to accomplish something else than what was initially arranged, so he persuaded Andrew to do everything he needed to do and said to him about a portion of the stuff that Andrew has never seen before on the island, and that was really interesting to Andrew. This was likewise an experience for himself, and afterward, Nolan headed toward the gathering and let him know that they planned to go on a climb up the shore, and he shared with them, "We will show you the stupendous visit." The gatherings didn't actually have the foggiest idea what to think from the outset yet. Nolan appeared to be sure, and it very well may be something fascinating, so they sort of preceded it, and they're now in the water for some time, so there was an ideal opportunity to continue on toward the following thing, and they would have the option to go in the water the following day at any rate. It was somewhat of an simple sell, however. Nolan seemed to have concluded that he truly will do nothing else other than the climb this planned to occur. So they began climbing, and Andrew anticipated that nobody should require them on a typical climbing way. Rather, he took them on a checked trail. However, at that point they went off around 50 to 70 yards, crossing into a huge magma field that traversed approximately 200 yards. Andrew realized that something was up, and they were essentially in a strange area. There is no proof of anybody truly going around here before, so that makes it very hazardous, particularly when you're in Hawaii with a great deal of perilous things like magma fields, where you might actually fall through the outside layer and into the magma, or follow the well-honed solidified magma going misguided trail, is something you by and large need to avoid, except if you know precisely exact thing you're doing. It turns out Nolan didn't actually have any idea what he was doing. Nolan shouted out to the gathering, letting them know that this is the genuine Hawaii, and for this reason you pursued this excursion. This sort of certainly stood out enough to be noticed, and it was thrilling. They wound up showing up at a timberline around 30 feet from the coastline, and by then, Tyler came up to Andrew and let him know that he wants some kind of cover from the sun, since he got burned by the sun. As a matter of fact, awful while they were swimming, so Andrew wound up giving him his under-reinforcement shirt, and Tyler said thanks to him, and by having that shirt with its assurance permitted him to progress forward. With they got up to the cliffside, and it was amazing, yet they could see the waves crashing down there. In the seaside grow was beginning to get more serious. They understood that in this space they wouldn't have the option to go into the water, so they proceeded with their way down the coastline, and afterward Letitia told a portion of the children that they could go into the water in the event that they connected their arms together to sort of make themselves into a major unit so the water couldn't take one of them out to the ocean. Then they came up to a lot of various showers, like sort of lagoons with blowholes blended in the aids, advised the understudies to go down into those tide pools, naming it the tomfoolery zone. However, the surf was getting truly perilous, and the tide was coming in. It was getting really extreme. A portion of the teenagers began sitting in the tide pools, likewise alluded to as latrine bowls, which filled with water and afterward depleted out with a flood of powerful water that was drawing once more into the sea, like how a riptide sort of pulls the water back out at this point. The greater part of the understudies were in the pools, apparently uninformed about the potential risk. They didn't actually have the foggiest idea what was continuing, and they accepted that the aides understood what they were doing and would keep them out of peril. Andrew never detected any advance notice from Nolan or Letitia that what they were doing was dangerous. Piece of the gathering was in one of the sovereign showers, and one more piece of the bunch was around 15 yards away, in another sovereign's bat that was really bigger than the first on the island. Sovereign showers are a specific sort of tide pool that comprises of sinkholes encompassed by sharp hardened pumice. Nolan hollowed out from his shower and attempted to get everyone inside. Andrew leaped out of his sovereign shower and headed toward where Nolan was. Similarly, as Andrew is bouncing into the subsequent sovereign shower, with Nolan's gathering, an immense wave came over him and filled the shower. The strong influx of water crashed down, nailed everybody in that Goliath shower, crushing them against the wall. The force of the water was serious. Areas of strength for two was whirling them around in there, and they were vulnerable. The gathering had no real way to get out or get away from the misleading grasp of the pools. As the wave struck, Andrew attempted to bring down his focal point of gravity by holding a close-by rock for soundness. The water subsided, and Andrew had the option to get out. He looked back at the shower and saw there was a ton of others still in it. The young people were panicked and frantically attempting to snatch anything to escape the tide pool and away from the strong waves before they got cleared once more into the sea. Guide Kelsey was attempting to help a portion of the understudies, and she was snatching them by their bathing suits to hold them back from getting pulled out yet again into the water. Then, as Andrew was over the pool, a subsequent wave pit, and he had the option to prepare himself and hung on close. He nearly got drawn once more into the shower. He could see everybody was battling right now. The water gradually began to suck individuals back into the sea, and Andrew jumped once more into the pool to attempt to snatch somebody and get them out. He let them know that they need to get out promptly, as the water was subsiding, so they got an opportunity now to get out. However, it was anything but a decent one. Andrew currently saw that there is such an excess of water that it could clear somebody off a bluff's edge at the most distant finish of the pool before possibly getting cleared out to the ocean. As though things couldn't deteriorate, a third wave struck. The waves ran viciously into the basalt in the tide posts, battering everybody by and by, including Tyler. Their fierce waters then, at that point, hauled Tyler through the rough pool and over that coastline precipice into the sea steps. Andrew defenselessly looked as Tyler was pulled from the shower in the retreating water. Unfit to help him, he was excessively far away, and in the event that he bounced in, he would have recently got sucked into the sea. Also, there are around 25 feet separated, yet it was a unimaginable test to attempt. Tyler's face was essentially deadpan, putting forth no attempt to save himself, so Andrew expected that Tyler passed out while he was rammed into one of the pools, and the water sucked him out. With the sickening sight of Tyler vanishing into the water scratched into Andrew's psyche, he realized that Tyler was in grave peril. The once relaxed climb had abruptly changed into a frightening battle for endurance, with the tireless waves and unforgiving volcanic rock taking steps to guarantee more casualties. The once fun zone had turned into a terrible trial that the folks had urged them to remain now faced the truth of the hazard the information accidentally drove their gathering into, as the remainder of the gathering battled to recapture control against the water and scramble to somewhere safe and secure. The frightful picture of Tyler's dormant body being cleared away would wait in their psyches. The strong sea had uncovered its disastrous potential for eternity, changing the youthful undertakings by the disastrous situation that developed on the apparently ordinary climb along the dazzling Hawaiian shoreline. Nolan and Andrew madly scanned the prompt region for any sign of the missing youngster. At long last, Nolan got sight of a body drifting in the water and burrowed in without a second thought, putting his own life in danger. In the process, as Nolan turned the body over, Andrew perceived Matt Alzente, provoking him and Letitia to proceed with their frantic quest for Tyler. The two waved to a close-by fishing boat to aid Matt's salvage, throwing Nolan a daily existence vest and assisting with raising to Matt and Nolan on board. In the interim, Letitia and Andrew scoured the region for Tyler, extending their quest all over the shoreline for around 15 minutes. At long last, Andrew traveled south, while Letitia traveled north down the shoreline. Inside a couple of additional minutes, a Zodiac Super showed up to support their hunt, followed not long from now by two additional boats that caught wind of the episode. Letitia and Andrew searched through the shore for an inconvenient time before the local group of firefighters specialists on call showed up in helicopter. One chopper arrived on the cliffside, and an official leaped out, rapidly assembling subtleties from Letitia. He illuminated her that there was nothing they could truly do. With crushing sadness, they suspended their pursuit, and alongside the 10 other understudies, Kelsey, Nolan, and Letitia started their miserable excursion back to their kayaks. As they advanced, a second local group of firefighters helicopter contacted down, asking Andrew and Nolan for more data about Tyler. For example, his age, clothing, and the specific area of where he disappeared. Nolan and Andrew strolled back up to the kayaks in all-out skepticism. It was difficult to grapple with what just befell them. Towards the finish of the experience, together they directed everybody to their kayaks and sent off towards the dock. Rowing straightforwardly across the inlet, police and ambulances anticipated their appearance. A couple of understudies alongside Kelsey and Letitia gave proclamations about the herring situation that had transpired. A debate between Striking Earth and Hawaii Pack and awe had emerged in regards to the obligation regarding the choice to take a gathering of youngsters to tide pools on a day when high surf warnings were active. Furthermore, there are ideas that the teens might have disregarded the AIDS alerts to remain on higher ground. There stays a conflict over the occasions of that day, and who, assuming anybody, is to be faulted. In September 2012, the Hawaii Pack and Oars license was renounced 3 months after the occurrence, including Tyler Madoff. Regardless of this, web-based audits on Cry and Excursion Council show that the organization kept on driving fruitful kayak trips. The Madoffs documented a claim that got comfortable 2014 for an undisclosed sum. Michael Madoff, Tyler's dad, expressed that the claim was not about financial pay, but rather expected to keep comparable misfortunes from happening in the future. Tragically, Tyler Madoff's body was never recuperated anyway. The family has communicated their expectation that Tyler's memory will move visit organizations to create and authorize well-being programs. While entwining with Hawaii's remarkable climate, the family stresses that this occurrence was actually preventable, with the expectation that actions will be taken to guarantee such an occasion won't ever occur from now on. That is all there is to it for now, and I value you watching until the end. Assuming you partook in this story, make a point to hit that buy-in button and join our consistently developing local area. Remember to show an affection to the like button. It's sitting tight for you. See you at the following one.